a brave new world out there with 2020 is crazy. I thought 2019 was drunk. 2019 is on heroin.
Yeah. Go home 2019.
yeah, exactly.
You're on heroin.
Yeah.
All right, we are live. Ready to do this?
Yeah.
Tucking my pants here. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host once again, coming to you live from the Smut Studio in Venice Beach, California, with my co-host. I'm Joe Prano. I didn't even say that. With my co-host Tug Coker. This show is gonna be a fun one. This is I've done a hydrocodone episode with Chris Wilde on the Chris Wilde podcast, but I am heavily sedated today. The knee has taken a turn, and it shouldn't be turning at all. So major pain over the last 48 hours. It's time to get this thing cut up, Tug. So look, if I die at some point during this episode, just know it's full Heath Ledger style. I went down doing what I loved, getting massaged by my co-host, Tug Coker.
Absolutely. Hello, Joe. And we also have two guys on the bench waiting to pick up the mic.
Yeah.
Should you go down?
Should I go down?
Yeah. We got Aaron and Nick here, ready to rock and roll.
Twerks with Wolves is on the bed. Nick is over here running the ones and twos.
Nicky D.
It's an exciting day here.
I'm excited for the hydrocodone podcast.
Yeah.
I wish I had known.
Yeah.
I would have popped one too.
I've got one if you'd like one. I've got a stack of them. Everybody's worried that I'm taking too many. I'm for sure not taking too many.
No, they're like Pez.
Yeah. I made a terrible decision today. I decided to try to walk over from my apartment, and I walked about a half a block down Speedway.
You're talking about walking with crutches, right?
With crutches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first thing was getting down the stairs of my apartment out of the rusty gate. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to walk down to the boardwalk, which I usually do when I walk over here. I walk to the boardwalk, but I was like, straightest line I can go. So I started walking down Speedway, which if anybody's ever been to Speedway, it's the alley before the beach here in Venice. And it's basically a boulevard in Kabul. Like they're fucking I don't think it's been paved ever. I think it's just homeless people who have fallen asleep and been run over by so many cars that they've turned into sort of a pavement. So I had one jagged like misstep, and I was like, fuck it. I took a $6 Uber, a block and a half, and then I texted Nick to pick me up outside, and he didn't respond, and I called him. I think he must have come out and be like, oh God, like I was like, take this. Like I couldn't even stand and wait for him. So I refilled my dosage when I got up here, and here we are.
It's like the classic episode, that moment in The Jerk. When he takes a cab like 40, like whatever, 12 feet or whatever. That's what you did today. I've always wanted to do that. Take the Uber or the cab drive for like less than a block.
Yeah, I think that's
the
shortest I've ever taken a cab or an Uber. It was literally like, I mean, I think as a crow flies, it's probably 250 yards.
And you were giving me a little update on what's going on with the knee. It sounds like there's going to be some progress for you next week. If you let
sounds
people in.
like exam by my what sounds like it will be my surgeon on Tuesday, and then surgery potentially Wednesday. So I could be on the road to recovery as soon as Wednesday, late Wednesday, which will be nice. Then I think everything I can tell, it's 6 weeks in like a full straight leg brace.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks and a straight leg brace, and then you start doing some rehab. And
yeah.
Okay, man.
Wow. Like I've been on a couple of tibial plateau fracture message groups. You know, I've been in Reddit / tibial plateau fracture, and it seems to be 6 weeks in a straight leg brace, and then physical therapy, possibly cane walking for a bit.
That's cool.
And then the general consensus also seems to be 16 to 18 months before your orthopedic surgeon shakes your hand and says goodbye. Hope I never see you again.
Yeah.
So it's a long road.
I called you the Alex Smith of podcasting. You know, it's going to be a battle for you, but we know you're going to come back. Maybe you're going to dunk.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we get you to dunk?
My goal, I was saying to Lachlan, who I did a show with last night, I said my goal is to be surfing on at least on a foamy by my birthday, which is July 5th. So we're about 6 months out. I guess that'd be 5 months, right? 5 months out of a birthday. Just get up on a foamy, stand, ride it in.
Can we mark this time? Can we timestamp this as a challenge, the Joe Prano Challenge 2020?
My 41st birthday, starting my Tom Seaver year.
Oh, my goodness.
Who knew I was punting on 40?
Yeah.
40. Everybody's like, oh, 40. 40's a big year. I did Just for Laughs. I smashed my knee, and that was it. Now we're looking forward to 41.
I love the Tom Seaver call because he's famous for that knee drag.
Yeah.
It's like you want Tom Seaver in that Tom Seaver year with the knee drag, deep knee bend by Tom Seaver.
But we got a lot of sports to talk. Actually, not that many sports to talk.
No, just important.
But some in-depth sports to talk. Where do you want to start, Tug? Do you have?
Look.
Do you want to do Australian Open right at the gate?
I do. I'm champing at the bit for the Open. It's anyone's. It's still Joker's time to shine, but Nadal is so hot. Can Federer get one more? Can Federer fend them off from getting to his overall championship record? I have my doubts.
Who is of the big three? Who has won the Australian the most?
Joker owns the Australian.
Owns the Australian.
Owns it.
Now the Australian's a hard court.
It is.
Why owning the
Can't
Australian?
Say it's sort of an in-between speed. Like I don't think it's like the fastest like the U.S. Open. I don't really know why, but he's been almost unbeatable on that court. I mean, all of them have won. I think Nadal's won once or twice there, maybe twice. Federer's won several times, but Djokovic has owned that court. Obviously, with the Australian, so the turmoil of Melbourne and things like that, I'm very interested to see the kind of coverage, just because it's been so ravaged with wildfires. So you probably see a lot of philanthropic endeavors from these guys. Great time to be down there. But I'm serious. I think it rained down there, but curious about the. Michael Mitch have to tell us about what the air quality is like down
there. We got in. Well, you have been a tennis fan your whole life.
Of course.
We, as a Dirty Sports and our live broadcast, got into tennis last year. We did Wimbledon. We did the French.
4 in the morning.
Then we did Wimbledon. And during that whole process, the whole thing is, are you a Nadal guy? Are you a Federer guy? Like all these people in tennis that love tennis I talk to, and I go, well, why? How come? And some people hate Federer and some people hate Nadal. And they both seem all right to me. But it was during I think, Wimbledon that I decided I'm a Djokovic fan. And the reason is, in doing a little research, he actually has a winning record against both of them. He doesn't have some weird Nadal thing like the French, where he's like won more of his majors in one place, and he's got that dialed in. And he's not that far behind them.
Not even close, not at all.
So, if he were to pass both of those guys and have a winning record against both of them, how do you argue?
Can't argue. Plus, I think you like him because he, when he was younger, he used to do a lot of impressions.
Oh, really?
Yep, did some great impressions. Has a great Coach O.
That's awesome.
No, but he was known for impersonating other players on the tour, and so people just feel like he's a little bit odd, and that's another reason for people to endear themselves to him. But probably the odds-on favorite. The other story would be Serena, who's trying for the umpteenth time to get over the hump to be the most celebrated or tie the most celebrated major champion for all tennis players, but including the women's side. So we'll see.
And she's chasing who?
Margaret Court, I want to say, who has 24.
Old Margie.
Yeah. Old Margie.
Peggy Court.
Another guy I liked last year is Tsitsipas from Greece, who made a deep run into the Final Four last year. He's a young guy, probably Nick and Aaron's age. You guys should, look away from your computers and listen to me when I'm talking about Tsitsipas. But no, it's always an exciting time. It's a different time of year. It's different this year, and this will help us transition to NFL because this is a weird week for the NFL. The Aussie Open final used to be the week off between the conference finals and the Super Bowl. This year it lines up with the Super Bowl because the NFL schedule is weird this year. I feel like MLK weekend used to be the division.
Right.
They moved it up a week, though. Yeah. I guess the Super Bowl is now going with just the first Sunday in February. That's the new Super Bowl date. So
well, we are not going to transition into
we're
football
not.
yet.
Yes, keep them
We're
going.
we're gonna tease out that football because I mean, obviously the Australian Open getting started, the top story, but the second story, the second most important story I think in all of sports today has to be the ongoing Houston Astros cheating saga.
Incredible story.
Now, there's a lot of things have happened. There's a lot of things that are being, there's a burner account that's out there.
Since you and I have talked on Tuesday.
Yeah, since you and I have talked on Tuesday, Cora has gotten fired by the Red Sox. Beltran, I mean, kick me while I'm fucking literally down, has gotten fired by the Mets. I wasn't even like a huge fan of I wasn't like, we need Beltran, this is the guy. I wasn't like, this is the manager we need. But like, Mets gonna Mets. They can't does he have a managerial record now? Like, if you look at Mets managerial history, will it be Terry Collins, Callaway, Carlos Beltran, and then like, what the fuck?
Yep.
And then also this fake or possibly real Beltran's niece burner account seems to be the one that is the first one that's like breaking stories that are coming true. She or he, who knows who's behind this, but they keep saying my Tio, in reference to Carlos Beltran, and then these stories, he's gonna leave the Mets, all this stuff's happening. This is the account, or one of the accounts, that has said now that there was buzzers involved in the cheating, that not only were they doing the garbage can banging, but that numerous players were wearing something on their body to alert them with some sort of pulse about what pitch was coming. This is ludicrous.
First of all, I just want to have a relationship with my niece where I can tell her all my deepest, darkest secrets about everybody. I mean, that's crazy that Carlos Beltran, hey, come in here.
I actually might do that. I might call my brother and make him start a Twitter account for my 4-year-old niece. And anytime I have breaking news, she'll have it a day early.
I mean, so let's just start with that dynamic of that household, where he's having a few beers and he's like, I'm going to tell everybody everything.
Yeah. Also, she's like probably like a 15-year-old Latino girl, so like he wants her to stop, but she, a 15-year-old Latino, like right around quinceañera time, they're unreignable.
I mean, the buzzer thing, people started, what's great about this story is now people are starting to dig into the files, the Reddick pictures, the Altuve close-ups of like, basically Nick and I were Zapruder filming it, where he says like, I don't take my shirt off, I have a piece on.
Yeah. And then there was this excuse that his wife doesn't.
He's shy.
And his wife doesn't want him having his shirt off.
Yep.
Meanwhile, then there was one of the websites, I don't know if you saw this, did like a slideshow of shirtless Altuve pics.
That's right.
That he's like been a bathing suit model, and he's like whatever. It's like, it's so fucking wild. But also, if you have these buzzers, why do you need the garbage can?
It's crazy. I mean, I agree with that. Trey Wingo posted out today his splits, home and road splits.
Yeah.
And it was like 450 at home and like 157 on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really say
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people, like Astros fans, say, oh, he hit better on the road during the regular season than he hit at home. And here's my problem with the whole here's my problem with the entire sort of Astros and Astros fans and the defense of this is a lot of people are saying sign stealing has always been a part of the game. But, like, we have to agree at some point that if you are sign stealing is a part of the game. But if you're cracking somebody's signs, that's one thing. But when you're using, like, devices and like how deep this goes, I cannot believe, and I almost hope it isn't, that this is the end of the punishment. Like, if more comes out, like, I honestly think Guys need to start getting banned, like players and coaches and anybody that's involved, whoever's putting this device on people. We need lifetime bans for certain people in this. I mean, it's. Am I crazy, or is this sort of flying under the radar besides baseball Twitter?
It's a good question. I'm surprised that people are actually defending it as like, sign stealing is, this is part of baseball. I mean, I guess maybe you do like a deeper dive and say who else was everyone using electronics? Then is like it's like the Tour de France, like where maybe Lance Armstrong did deserve the whatever to win because everyone was on it. Yeah, everyone was doping. So let's just have it out. Let's just do a deep dive. Let's have Ken Rosenthal get involved and figure out.
But now other players around the league, Trevor Bauer's taking shots.
Yeah.
People how do you think this plays out for the guys, Altuve's, Bregman's, people that are accused of this, who are not going to be suspended? I got to imagine these guys are going to get drilled and booed in every ballpark
100%.
they walk into.
And didn't they get immunity? That's why they're talking, right? The players are given immunity. So that makes me wonder. I mean, Beltran got hosed, right?
Yeah.
He's not being punished as a player; he's being punished as a potential manager.
And what the fuck are the Mets doing? Their ownership until 4 weeks ago or whatever it was and that deal still isn't done. The current owners of the Mets and the owners of the Mets for going back 20-something years were a part of the fucking Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. Now we're saving face. We can't be a part of this, weird. Like Bernie Madoff stole billions of dollars from people. And now the Mets are like, whoa, we're this classy organization. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, more Mets news with Jessica Mendoza. I mean,
all-time worst take.
Look. I know that this podcast in particular is very tough on her, and I do not watch enough Sunday Night Baseball to give an opinion on what her skills are like for a TC minute on her. But for her to say she already has a conflict of interest.
Yeah,
being a media personality and someone that works for a baseball organization.
Yeah,
and to basically say on both ends that there shouldn't be whistleblowing. It's crazy. ESPN's also they put it's called the car wash. ESPN has when they go on every show they call it the car wash, and they sort of send her out to die basically, and she did. I don't know what you do
because how dare Jessica Mendoza even weigh in on the unwritten rules of baseball and what should or should not go on in a locker room. You've never been in a locker room. You're not I think the unwritten rules in softball is everybody shares their period. I don't know, some fucking nonsensical thing. The girl who's with the heaviest flow gets to bat clean up or something like that. It's embarrassing. The Mets have embarrassed themselves a million times over here. Having Jessica Mendoza, Tim Tebow is going to be manager. That's my prediction. Tim Tebow manages the Mets.
It's what he's always wanted. It's what he's been orchestrating since he won that big Pittsburgh game in overtime.
But if it comes out that players, how does this affect the Altuve, the Bregman? I'm an Astros guy. I've been an Astros supporter. I love
Same.
Go through my fucking Twitter history of my Altuve tweets. Go through. I've called Altuve and Correa the best middle infield ever, and prove me wrong. That's what I've said. There is, it's crazy. Hindsight's 20/20, but it is wild because you look at Altuve and you're like, the question was always, how is he doing it? And it's just so sad if this is the answer. And to Astros fans out there, man, I've been an Astros supporter. I've said, the Astros are my AL team. We planned a trip to Texas because I desperately wanted to go to the Astros game. You're embarrassing yourselves. This is the fucking Patriots on steroids. You're embarrassing yourself defending your team. The everybody cheats thing is the worst thing I've ever. People have been stealing signs forever. They're rodent. It's horrific. This is the worst thing that's happened to baseball since the steroid scandal.
And people are coming back and saying, and my buddy TJ Quinn, who works for ESPN, who I like a lot, is basically saying, before you guys say, what, this is worse than Pete Rose, and they say Pete Rose lied about his gambling, but like these guys are lying. They should have come clean with the buzzer thing.
They're lying the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea of the 1 year $5 million thing we talked about last episode was ridiculously light. I mean, you should give people an opportunity to come clean again.
Yeah.
And if they don't, and then these things get dug out, then you should be banned.
And at this point, I think you have to take the World Series away. I think you have to just say no winner that year. No one won. And I know Dodgers fans, like we talked about last episode, they're all up in arms because they feel like they got cheated by 2 straight teams. But look, so did every team that those teams beat along the way. This is horrible. And honestly, I was talking to Andy before the show. This is piling on to some other issues with baseball. Baseball's too goddamn expensive. The stupid fucking nets that are up. Like, honestly, like, I know people go, oh, you're such a pussy. The Nets. I hate the Nets. I hate them. They have made me not want to go to as many baseball games. And now you add this and the way Major League Baseball is handling it. It's going to be hard to watch baseball this year. It's going to be really hard.
I think we should all get buzzers and go in the fans, and we should all know the pitch count too. And then we'll be like Tony Romo of baseball. So we'll be able to predict what's going to happen, and then we'll get to judge you fairly.
And honestly, here's the thing. If, the way balls get struck hard into foul territory is guys are ahead of they think fastball's coming.
Yep.
And they get out in front and they pull an off-speed pitch and they pull it into the stands. So I say have the nets mechanical. Have the guy who runs the net have a buzzer. And if it's an off-speed pitch, the nets go up. And if it's a fastball, the nets stay down. That way, I don't have to watch it except for the pitches that somebody would potentially hit it over there.
I love this. I demand this. Starting a petition right now. Just to circle back to Jessica Mendoza because I like the press part of the business. Do you think that the Mets will have to do something, or baseball, and say, hey, you got to choose one or the other?
The Mets are a debacle, so I think that the Mets are going to make whatever's the worst decision here. I don't know if you know this. Brody, their fucking GM, either he was AJ Hinch's best man or AJ Hinch was his best man. They play baseball at Stanford together.
Interesting.
I think I think Jessica Mendoza is going to manage the Mets for a year as a placeholder until fucking AJ Hinch is the manager in 2021. I think the Mets are going to make all the worst decisions. And that's another reason why it's really going to be hard. The way my team that isn't even involved in this scandal is suddenly involved in this scandal by firing a manager who was not going to get punished, and having Jessica Mendoza as a part of their organization is miserable. So I'm already pissed at the Mets. Baseball's trying to ruin itself from multiple angles. I took the better part of 10 years off from baseball because of steroids, because I've talked about it on the show before. Everybody knew. And the idea that everybody knew and they all let it happen and then had this big freak out, it disgusted me. I did not watch baseball for a decade. And I'm a huge baseball fan. And I would say I got back into it in 2013, So they're going to lose me again. And honestly, baseball has to figure out a way not to lose people who have spent their life. I spent tens of thousands of hours watching Major League Baseball. So the idea that they're making decisions right now that are going to push me away from the game again, fix it. Like, it's bad.
It's crazy. I mean, I like I said last podcast, I think this will be an unbelievable movie. The movie gets better by the day. It's going to be an absolute bidding war, especially with you as Justin Verlander. I decided finally that I'm just going to be one of the montage pitchers that gets destroyed.
That'd be great. It'd be great if you were one of the guys who calls the catcher out to the mound. The big. You're the guy who they have the video of going
yeah, John, get in here. We talk.
These motherfuckers are fucking banging a fucking drum in there.
Yeah. Check underneath their fucking shirt. There's something going on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that every time I think about the story, like we've already talked it through, but like they have buzzers on.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I can't see what's next. I mean,
how are you if you're a Bregman or an Altuve? How are you in the clubhouse before the game, like getting some shit taped on? Like, how does that not like kill you?
Well, the other discussion
and it begs the question: then, do those guys think that they couldn't be in the bigs without it? Because I think that was the difference for a lot of guys and steroids. Guys took steroids and they were like, "This is my only way of having a career." And then, of course, we saw, and I've talked about this with Bonds before. The timeline of Barry Bonds is very obvious. It's very like if you look at his numbers, if you look at his size, it's very obvious. He saw Sosa and McGwire doing it. McGwire, as far as anybody can tell, is on it from day one because he's in the fucking Bay with Canseco. Those guys are Bash Brothers. They're steroids in the 80s. But when Sammy Sosa, a guy who, if you look at his career prior to the steroids, is kind of a borderline big leaguer, Barry Bonds sees it and goes, "Fuck this! I'm not letting these assholes. I'll hit 100 homers if I do it." And he would have he got walked 250 times.
But we both admit Bonds was great before.
Yes.
I mean, Bonds was legitimately great.
And I think the majority of the people in the game are going like, "I'm doing this because I need a career." And when you look at, look, man, I was a fan of those guys being able to do it at their size. It's so crazy when you look around the infield at Altuve and at Bregman, and you're like, these guys aren't 6 feet tall. They're winning AL MVPs. It throws all that shit. Like, I don't want to fucking hear about those guys ever again if the buzzer story comes out. Like, I want those guys banned from baseball.
Did you see speaking of like these like burner accounts, niece accounts, someone's like related to a baseball player throughout that Mike Trout is on HGH.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
like Scott Brocious' like son or something like that.
I don't know who it was, but someone showed this clip of the Mean Girls video where they're attributing like the players to the different the fights, whatever. It's literally what's happening. Every bad thing that's been rumored about is coming out now, and some people are mad in the media because like people are running with like we all are guessing that they were buzzers. We don't know, but we're not journalists.
Right.
People are actually running with this.
Yeah.
It's
well,
like,
and I saw a tweet from that that guy John Boy who does the great fucking recaps.
Yeah.
And he said, I think he quote tweeted the Carlos Beltran's niece's burner or whatever, and he said, this account that's been right on a lot of things now claiming that these guys were wearing buzzers. Something I've heard from 5 sources.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah. So the word is out there, and so far, when this story started, it was so preposterous, and every preposterous new detail so far has been proven to have happened.
Yeah.
You're like banging on it. Like, how does that even work? How would you bang on, like, what? And then they're like, yeah, here's audio of them banging on a fucking garbage can. Here's a video of the setup as one of those guys comes down the club. You're like, Jesus Christ.
But I love the dramatic story where they're like two guys are, they're like, how do we steal signs? How about this? We bang on a trash can, and then Altuve's like, you guys are such dorks.
Yeah.
We have buzzers. Like it's like the teams like separate between like the trash can bangers, and the guys went next level and got a buzzer.
Yeah.
And they like hate each other. It's like a war between the sign stealers. But which brings me to another point, which is who knew and who doesn't know.
Right.
Like it's Fires, right? That's a guy who's known as a whistleblower. And I agree. Like I think he did the right thing, but you do have to hold him somewhat accountable for not doing. He did wait to win his ring before it does happen.
Sure.
So. That's part of the movie that I'm interested to see is like who knows, when does it weigh on you, who doesn't know, why is he when Altuve's hiding the buzzer, do some people not know about this?
What's our greatest casting idea for this movie? Like who could you see as who do you want to see in one of these?
Jonah Hill as Altuve. For sure. Man, I don't. Bregman is like anyone could be Bregman. Like Gyllenhaal could be Bregman.
Yeah.
Someone just sort of fits like that size and aesthetic. I mean, I don't know. It's who could be Hinch? I'd like to see Michael Shannon get in there.
Michael Shannon as Hinch. That's great.
But I don't know. This movie will be unbelievable. It reminds me of like All the President's Men for baseball because
what's the kid from the Handjob movie, Timothy Chalamet?
Oh yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
I want to see him as Springer with the fucking faux hawk.
Oh yeah,
just such a pretty boy.
Oh yeah,
Let's get that kid.
That'd be great. I mean, let's start casting this, guys. We need to get the rights first, but anyway, great story.
All I know is I definitely want it directed by Todd Phillips and Jessica Mendoza to get hammered in the story, so that the Oscars so male or whatever, just like that, just loses its mind. This is Jessica Mendoza takedown piece.
It's similar to what they did with Clint Eastwood's. They made him feel bad because they said they used that woman in an improper way.
Yeah.
So
you're a lifer working actor. I'm on the couch with a working actor.
Three decades now, guys.
Yeah. You put food on your kids' plates as an actor.
They didn't eat much last year.
How do you feel about Oscars so male, Oscars so white? Did you see The Joker?
I did see
Joker.
I did see Joker.
Yeah.
And I thought it was. I love Joaquin Phoenix. I think he's an awesome actor.
Yeah.
And so I went to watch his performance, and I thought it was great. The Oscar so white thing, like I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I haven't seen a lot of the movies yet, but I believe there should be more diversity. But the reality is, it's just like the people at the top are just dominated by white people. So it's a publicity, or what is it? What's it called? Popularity contest.
Right.
So I don't know. When I see all the movies, I'll weigh in for sure. But
I saw that they've opened up the Best Picture. So there's like 10 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
But the Best Director still only 5. So a lot of the things was like, how does she not?
Greta Gerwig not get in?
And it's like, well, they just instead of the 10, they took the 5.
It's really hard.
Also, you've got, I think it's Tarantino, Scorsese, Todd Phillips. Like, it's a pretty fucking.
It's very, very
tough.
The best actors like Tom Hanks, Leo. It's very.
Another year. I should point out this is like 87th consecutive year. 0 women in the Best Actor category or Best Supporting Actor. So
has to change.
Has to change.
I remember when I did a Broadway show years ago. I remember the Tony. I would never been a Tony nominee, but the Tony nominees that year were.
Hey, it's not over.
I never say never.
Yeah.
Yet. But Philip Seymour Hoffman, James Corden. I believe Adam Driver was in that year, but it was like, it was like, my point is, it was just a loaded year.
Yeah.
Every year's loaded. I mean, the Oscars, like these are what Tom Hanks does for a living. It's like, give me an Oscar, caliber performance, an opportunity. So.
Have you seen the Tom Hanks Mr. Rogers movie?
I haven't seen it yet, but I have it.
We'll have to check that out as well. We got a lot.
That's our movie review.
We
haven't seen anything.
Listen,
here's what you need to know. We've seen nothing.
Yeah, I'm bedridden, so I'm gonna watch all these movies.
I have some screeners. I'm happy to send them over to you.
I love it.
I'm excited about Uncut Gems. Everyone's talking about it.
I thought it was fantastic.
It did get snubbed.
Yeah.
No,
I feel bad for the Sandman.
No nomination for the Sandman.
I'm a Sandman stan. No doubt about that.
I love when he goes off his Sandman path and does things like Punch Drunk.
Spanglish is one of my favorite.
I thought Spanglish was really good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about Uncut Gems, though. It's definitely
it's really good. It's very intense.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. KG surprisingly good.
There's a bunch of people in it. Francesa, Mike Francesa is in it.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of sports people. It's pretty cool.
So, is it about that time? Let me see what else I have on the rundown. I'm trying to.
I have actually one off the grid thing I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
Did you see the Knicks gave the guy who made a half-court shot scratchers? And the Athletic, they chased him down and said that he had to scratch off every one.
Yeah.
And he made $500.
And what they give him 10,000 in scratchers?
I thought it was 1,000
or 1,000 in scratchers.
Yeah, 1,000.
1,000 in scratchers. Yeah, they gave him like 200. I think it was 10,000. I think they gave him.
Okay.
I think they gave him 200 $5 scratchers.
That'd be 1,000.
Would it be? Yeah. You're right. Sorry.
Yep. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're on hydrocodone.
200 $5. Like. Now this guy's got to scratch off 200 fucking scratches.
It's not worth it. I'd like to see him give it back.
And literally the day before the Lakers gave somebody like $100,000 for making the same shot, straight cash. It's unbelievable.
It's so crazy,
dude. My football, baseball, like my New York sports thing. Again, unfortunately, I asked the doctor, and he said this is not enough to kill me. If it was, I'd take it all.
Do you have any refills?
Let's see. I don't think so. No.
Hashtag get Prano refilled.
No refills.
Get Prano refilled.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll refill me when I have post-surgery. I'm definitely going to need some post-surgery.
Nick, you got something for us over there?
Yeah, it's about this. This Knicks fan. Turn my mic on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You're on.
So it was 1,000 in lottery tickets. He ended up winning 570, and then he had this quote saying, "What the f, man? Some dude just won 100,000 doing the same shit in L.A. and I get these bum ass lottery tickets." Still a blessing though.
Still a blessing though.
Yeah.
Guys, before we get into some football, I meant to say this at the top of the show, but we've got Nick over here. We've got Twerks on the bed, rocking the YouTube chat. We haven't done calls in a while. Andy's been out of town. Andy monitors all of our calls. I don't fucks with the Skype. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, anything, jump in the YouTube comments right now and put them in there. Twerks is going to get us a select couple of questions, comments, queries for the end of the show. We'll do that in place of calls. Before we get into actually talking about the games that come up, we do have some interesting NFL stories. Another early retirement. Luke Kuechly, all-world linebacker for the Carolina Panthers, gone at 28. Not dead, just retired.
He looked like he was sort of being held at gunpoint to retire. Did not look like it wasn't a joyous celebration.
No.
It was just more awkward.
It kept seeming. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Leo in Wolf of Wall Street, where he gives a speech that he's leaving, and then he's like,
"I'm not going.
I'm not going."
Yeah, it just looked like I don't know what he said. Like he could still do it, but he just didn't. He still wanted to, just didn't think he could.
Yeah.
And he has been dealing with some concussions.
Yeah.
So that becomes a big.
And you gotta imagine if a guy's got however many concussions they say in the NFL. First of all, add, 8%, right?
Oh yeah.
Then you've got college. Then you've got high school. People get concussed doing things other than playing football. There's a random. I got thrown off a treadmill one time. Got a concussion that way. I've got a couple of concussions, not football related concussions. Like, it's bad. And obviously now with more and more information out there about the long-term effects of these, there's got to be a number that doctors, team physicians, whatever, say like, hey, we've looked at it after this point. It gets real bad.
That's a lot of money on the table too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like this isn't he's not playing for free. Multiple digit millions of dollars. My question to you is Luke Kuechly a Hall of Famer?
Unfortunately, no, I don't think he is. I think that, had he played at the level he played more consistently, like without the injuries throughout his career, and then, okay, he has a concussion, and he's like, look, I got to leave concussions. But, unfortunately, the cause of his retirement, I also think, is the cause. I hate to say it. It's like, I know that, you kind of got to judge somebody by what they did on the field. I always say, the best ability is availability. You also got to be out there to no, fault of his own, obviously. But yeah, it's just like, I think to be a Hall of Fame linebacker, you gotta have some solid years of service and say, look, I was the best at my position for I don't know what the 5 consecutive years.
Was Defensive Player of the Year, I believe, 2013.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if this becomes a trend. We've seen this now with Andrew Luck, Gronkowski, Kuechly, Calvin Johnson. Do we start looking, or does the NFL Hall of Fame committee start looking at these careers a little differently? Because it's like, what do you do in sort of like that small window of time? Like, how meteoric is your career?
And
Is Andrew Luck a Hall of Famer in your eyes?
I don't think so.
See, and that's interesting to me. When you are on the cusp of being immortalized for your endeavor, and to hang it up, that to me is like the real debate. Like these guys are like on the verge of like being immortalized, but they hang it up more than sort of the money to me.
And to me, I think even if that run of greatness, of dominance is short, but it's without a doubt. Like J.J. Watt's got, what, 3 Defensive Players of the Year? Is that – I don't know if that's
right.
correct. But, like, that – now we're talking like, okay, if J.J. Watt retires tomorrow, you're the best player in football. You play 7 years or whatever, 8 years. 3 of those years, you're the most dominant player in football on the defensive side of the ball. Okay. But Kuechly, like, you've got 1 Defensive Player of the Year. Again, I'm not saying, like, it's not because he wasn't good enough. He obviously was. And that defense, you can see – in what the Panthers have done in the over his career, they are like, forget Cam, forget the coaching staff, forget Christian McCaffrey. Panthers are good when he's playing. They're pretty mediocre when he's not.
That's right.
And no doubt about it, he was on the path to a Hall of Fame career. You know, I think if he plays Brian Urlacher's amount of years, that's
which wasn't that much more, right?
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But unfortunately, no, I don't think he is. And Luck, the same thing. I mean, I think especially with a quarterback, you have to look at the totals, right? That's how obviously how you're going to be compared with the greats. But if you remove the totals from the list because this guy retires early, he didn't play in a Super Bowl, he didn't win a Super Bowl, he didn't win an MVP, he certainly was compiling all the stats that he needed if he played. If Andrew Luck retires early without any of the team accolades or championships or whatever, and he's a top 15 in everything, he's like, I was so good that I left early, but I still passed, the Carson Palmers and the Kerry Collins and the Vinny Testaverdes, these guys who played for 25 years, then, yeah, he's in. But it's tough. And
Gronk is in.
Gronk, I think, is a Hall of Famer.
Calvin Johnson,
it's a tough one. I would say borderline. Look, I'm a kind of guy who goes like, I'd vote for Calvin Johnson.
No, I agree.
But I'm not sure he gets in.
Yeah, no, there's only one way to find out. They'll either get him in or not, but it's curious. I mean, Gronk, I think, is in.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson, I think, probably will get in.
Yeah.
But T.O. took him 2 times to get in, I think. So
that's like take that out of the conversation because that was just dickbag fucking reporters. Like that's kind of shit that makes me want to punch a reporter in the face.
Well, we are circling around to that time, when baseball lets their Hall of Famers, in. And I know there's a lot of discussion this year. I think there's only 2 guys that are sort of in the mix right now. I forget who they are, but we should. There's a Twitter post from Bo Blaha saying, "Can we take a second to congratulate Larry Walker on getting his number retired?" I don't think so. I don't think we can. But I'm interested to see who gets in.
Just retired at home.
Exactly. Maybe in Canada. But the baseball guys, I'm sure it'll be interesting to see who gets in that.
Yeah,
Football.
I mean, obviously, the big thing is, will Jeter be unanimous?
Yep.
I certainly hope not, as a Jeter,
Yes.
truther.
Yes.
But also, and this is why I want everybody to know, it's important for me to make the distinction. This isn't me being a Yankees hater. This is me being a Derek Jeter truther. I think if Mariano Rivera not 100%, then fucking Derek Jeter can't be 100%. Was Rivera unanimous?
I think he might have been the first one.
He might have been, but Derek Jeter, like Mariano Rivera deserved it. He was the best at his position ever.
There's one guy on my Twitter timeline that is being debated who say there's not high enough. Curious on your thoughts on Andrew Jones.
I mean, again, it's fantastic defender, no doubt about that. But and started at a very young age. So being a big leaguer at 19, yes, you're a great defender. I need you to have. I don't need you to have the 40 home run season or the 50 home run season or the MVP season, But if you're going to start at 19 and your glove is going to be what, makes you who the player you are, I also need you to Omar Vizquel. I need you to get 3,000 hits.
Yeah, I hear
I
that.
need to get 2,700 hits. And say, look, it was my glove that kept me around, but also I was a serviceable offensive player. I just don't think Andrew Jones has enough.
I see Curt Schilling's name cusping around the border. Will he make it?
Seems like he'll get the TO treatment.
Yeah.
He's disliked.
He is disliked. Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Before we get to the actual games, Tug, we still have a couple more NFL player stories.
What's that?
We have Odell Beckham.
Oh, yeah.
The go home, Odell. You're drunk. Literally.
Smackgate.
This is the Astros story in one night. It starts with Odell's handing out money on the field after the game. He's just giving people $100 handshakes. Then we have the video of him in the locker room slapping a police officer on the ass, who I guess the police officer, being a total asshole, was like harassing somebody about a cigar or something.
She's
like
already
that.
being sort of hostile towards people who just won a title.
Yeah. I don't know if you thought they were rolling blunts or what, but
The sign says no smoking.
yeah. So no doubt about it, I think that cop deserved a smack on the ass. But also Odell, this when you piece together the timeline and the videos that are out there, he took a megaphone and was yelling at the band.
Was that after the first two incidents happened?
I think that was before. I think it was during the game or toward the end of the game.
I saw the pictures of him trying to grab a megaphone.
Grabbing a megaphone, walks into the band, past the cheerleaders, straight up into the band section, then gets escorted out and down and around through. He's just clearly wasted. But now there's multiple things that are like coming from this incident. The two major ones are, one, there's now NCAA violation talk because he was handing guys straight up cash. Joe Burrow has said it was real money, and I don't give a fuck. I'm not an LSU Tiger anymore. Like, peace out. Like, the Bengals are also going to hand me a bunch of cash. And the New Orleans Police Department pressing charges on him and, asking for him to turn himself in.
Yeah.
I am an Odell defender I've always been an Odell defender in terms of I think people make too much out of his, distraction to the team and diva. I'm like, every fucking, player is the number of wide receivers that aren't divas or whatever. And again, my defense of him always from the guys I know inside the New York Giants locker room have said, loved by his teammates, respected by his teammates, a leader, looked up to.
Because every high five he gives has $100 in it.
Yeah, exactly. Good way to
Why
get on
would
your teammates' good
exactly.
side. Yeah. But, also my thing with Odell was a lot of people like to whenever there's a diva wide receiver conversation, it always comes back to T.O., Ocho Cinco, Randy Moss to some degree, the way that these guys handled themselves on the sideline. And to me, the thing about Odell was immature, total fucking idiot. But you never saw him screaming at his quarterback. He was never doing the Stephon Diggs thing where he seemed to be, I demand the ball. There was one clip of him this year getting into it with Freddie Kitchens, but both of them have sort of gone on the record saying it wasn't an argument that they were having with each other. It was they were both fired up about the refs or something like that. But this is, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people have tried to skewer Odell Beckham over the years for, the kicking net and crying and the Josh Norman thing. But this, in my opinion, is his worst look by far. He was also yelling while Coach O was giving his post-championship speech.
He's just obviously hammered, right? I mean, he's a 25-year-old kid who's just hammered.
Yeah.
And doesn't know, you see this, I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often because you see a lot of alumni go home on their bye weeks and, they're celebrating, having fun. I mean,
yeah.
I guess because you're in New Orleans.
You're in New Orleans.
You're
it's
like
a championship game.
Yeah, you probably know thousands of people there. Everyone's chanting your name.
You're from there.
From the area. Like hard not to like. I agree with you. I think it's not a great look, but I also, as a person who has been intoxicated publicly before,
Yeah.
I understand it.
Yeah.
And I just wish
I mean, when we went to Texas, I got so drunk. Nick woke up the next morning. I had a handgun in his face. I'm like, you will delete this footage, or I will I'll put 2 holes in your head. And,
is that a Tarantino like opener?
Yeah,
It feels like that.
I was like, let me see your camera,
yeah.
and I'm gonna need you to delete that right now.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't have the Texas recap video yet.
Yeah. We never went to Whataburger.
But I mean, having said that, as a person who has walked through Bourbon Street before, I've still been trained enough to know I don't go near a police officer.
Yeah.
Like I don't go near. I don't smack anyone. I'm not smacking any police officer anywhere. The yelling, understandable. The $100 is probably not. I would probably not recommend doing that.
Yeah.
But the touching of the police officer is the one that I think like you just should be conditioned.
I think everybody can agree. Odell Beckham drunk. He's handing no one's taking. You know what I mean? Like, what are these guys supposed to do? Like, hey man, that's it. But like,
right.
So, I think that like anybody who's making a big deal out of that from the NCAA portion, like we're not. I don't think any punishment for LSU is in order here.
Let's move along.
Barrow.
Yeah.
That's it. Joe Barrow.
Joe Barrow.
No, yeah, Joe Barrow. Nice.
That's Nick's.
That's his contribution for today.
I'm gonna turn,
Turn the mic off now.
And this is Andy turning the mics down between conversations. It's always a smart move. What about Odell getting like? Do you think he should? I mean, fuck it. Press charges. Teach him a lesson.
Absolutely. To the fullest extent of the law.
Where, like, in terms of the Browns and Odell, like, does this have any long-term, in your opinion, does this change your long-term opinion of Odell Beckham? Do you think this is bad for him, his team, the Browns?
Not at all. I think it has nothing to do with the Browns. There's another player that I think we're going to talk about in a second that is a worse look for himself. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, nothing else. You just put him in house arrest in Cleveland. He'll probably learn his lesson.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
I am still desperate to find it because I remember it happening so clearly. And there's one episode title that everybody, when they go in search of this, goes to this episode. But I'm telling you, it is not in this episode. But at one point in the Odell Beckham is a diva conversation, I am certain that Andy Ruther said to me, why can't he just be more like Antonio Brown? Antonio Brown, not a diva. That is how we'll transition into this next
Wow.
story. Antonio Brown, no sign of returning to the NFL. One of the all-time greatest scumbags in the history of professional sports, Drew Rosenhaus, is severing ties with Antonio Brown.
Is that right?
Unless Antonio Brown agrees to go to therapy. I think there was some sort of timeline put on this. He said he has until this point to seek help or I'm out. When Drew Rosenhaus taps out on you when you're a premier athlete, you have gone down a terrible path.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure Drew Rosenhaus still represents Todd Marinovich. I think he takes 15% cut from heroin-induced paintings that the guy does in his garage.
You gotta give him a chance. It's such I have a sucker for all left-handed quarterbacks, so I'd probably represent Todd Marinovich too. But the thing that I'm
pretty sure Drew Rosenhaus still reps OJ. I'm just saying, Drew. For Drew
if he finds a way to get some money, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Drew Rosenhaus is taking 10% off of this Aaron Hernandez Netflix documentary,
which I've pleaded Andy to do a recap, like the Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
the Dirty Sports was born to do a sort of a recap show.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Have you watched that at all?
I've not yet, but I'm excited about it. Just to hear what Andy has to say about it, really. But someone alerted me about the Antonio Brown like Instagram live video via Twitter, and people go over there, and it's like watching a train wreck.
I have not seen that video yet.
I've seen it. I watched it.
I know there's a bag of dicks involved.
Now, Nick might have to come back on to tell us more about the bag of dicks. I wasn't lucky enough to see the bag.
I know. I'm going to turn him up again.
All right, Nick, tell us about the bag of dicks before I paint the rest of the picture.
I think this might be like an endorsement or something, because now I see Antonio Brown like tagging this Bag of Dicks company. But apparently you're just supposed to throw a bag of dicks at, I don't know, he says white woman that's annoying. I don't know. Who can understand this guy anyway?
Well, you used to root for him.
And he went to my school too, so this was a very
Do you own an Antonio
emotional
Brown jersey?
My dad had a signed Antonio Steelers Bumblebee jersey.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And
Are you going to light it on fire?
well,
Can we get a video of that being lit on fire?
he has.
Could you
since-
cut it into small dicks? That would be the greatest. If you cut it, if you like did what we did with the smut couch and you just cut it into small dicks and put it in it, that'd be great. Turn his
That's a good
jersey into a
idea.
bag of dicks.
That's a good idea. Yeah, it's since been taken out
It'll
of the
go viral.
frame. Yeah.
Since been taken out of the frame.
Yeah, and it's
What is
it's
replaced it in
somewhere
the frame?
storage. I have no idea. It might be some Jimi Hendrix memorabilia thing. But yeah, I mean, like Antonio Brown at this point just feels like an ex-girlfriend, you know?
Yeah.
For me, I mean, he even blocked me on Twitter too. So it's
He
even
blocked you on Twitter?
Oh yeah,
You said you.
a-
Wow.
a while ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Just because remember his whole "keep your emotions off the internet" comment
Right.
a while ago. I just kind of flipped the script on him, called him just like, dude,
Are you blocked?
realize-
Are you also blocked by Ben Roethlisberger?
I'm not, but my sister is.
I'm blocked by Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
I've never tweeted at Ben Roethlisberger one time.
Also,
ever.
why is his handle BigBen7.com?
Yeah.
Like why is his website your Twitter handle? You know?
I actually think that's next level. I think that's really
Are
smart.
you blocked by Ben Roethlisberger on Twitter?
I'm not. I've not had the pleasure.
Yeah. Are you sure?
Well, my tweets are so innocuous that he's probably like, I'll let this guy slide.
Yeah.
But I did watch this Instagram's live video of Antonio Brown, and like, look, again, he's yelling at police officers. He's yelling at this woman that it sounds to be his baby mama. But where I have a real issue, there's kids running around. His kids are running around, and one of them's being put in the car.
Yeah.
And like as a dad who has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, like, man, I just have a tough time. I want him to love his kids, but like it's just such a bad example. I just get it's one of the things that angers me. It really does anger me when I see that kind of behavior around kids that are just the kids have no clue what they're doing. Like they just want to be loved basically. And to see that, I was like, man, I have a tough time watching this video.
Does Antonio Brown play another snap in the NFL?
No.
Never.
No, he's done.
I want to say you're right, but I'm like, man, somebody, like, I could see your Cowboys.
100%. I guarantee you he's playing next year. Mike McCarthy's going to bring him on for sure.
All right.
No, I actually do think if he didn't bring the entourage to New Orleans,
yeah.
Against the request of Sean Payton, I think the Saints would not be a bad fit.
Yeah.
I feel like Sean Payton, they're just going back to our conversation a couple episodes ago, where they're just desperate to like maximize Drew Brees' career. I feel like that could have been an option. He blew that one.
Yeah. It's time. It's that time everybody's been waiting for. We're going to dive into Championship Sunday, the two games we have. Before we do that, though, we've got to talk about our good friends at GTP Picks. We've been working with GTP Picks for a while here at the Dirty Sports, and I love GTP Picks. They were partially responsible for me making my strong last 3 weeks of the season comeback against Andy Ruther.
Incredible
Throughout
run.
the year, I went to them when I needed just a sure thing lock, and they always came through. If you follow them on Twitter, which you should, they'll give you a free play every once in a while. They will give you. I mean, these guys are winning at a rate that honestly I've never seen before. Listen, Dirtballs, if you're still paying your bookie out every week, you need to get help from our friends at GTP Picks. What is GTP Picks? GTP Picks is a data-driven sports betting service that offers winning sports betting advice at an affordable price. Follow their advice and win. It is that simple. And I can assure you it is that simple because I have followed their advice and I have won. And the best part about GTP Picks, in my opinion, is I have limited my sports betting over the years to things that I know about. And look, am I winning a ton of money from my own knowledge? Of course not. That's not how gambling works. Spreads are very difficult. But now what I do through GTP Picks, I've been betting on things I literally know nothing about, and I am crushing the game. I'm winning on college basketball. I don't even watch college basketball. I don't even watch the games I bet on. I just put the money down. GTP Picks gives me my selections, and I win. It's awesome. It's like I'm making money. I don't even have to do anything. How profitable has GTP Picks been? Right now, GTP Picks is offering a limited time offer to all of the dirtballs. For the rest of January, all GTP packages are 25% off. In addition to this discount, every purchase will include their Super Bowl 54 preview and every Super Bowl 54 sports betting recommendation for free. Simply visit gtppicks.com and use promo code DIRTY to unlock this limited time offer. If you like making money while watching sports, investing with GTP Picks is a no-brainer. And guys, I'm going to put down the ad read so that you know that this is from me directly. The most fun day of the entire year, maybe besides day 1 and day 2 of March Madness, to make sports bets is a Super Bowl. If you're going to make sports bets on the Super Bowl this year, so many props, so many things that you can bet on. Go to GTP Picks, use our promo code DIRTY, and get 25% off. Start your 2020 off right with some wins at the Super Bowl.
I love making money.
Everybody does.
Who doesn't?
I'm going to GTP Picks this weekend to make some money because I've got some surgery to pay for.
That's right.
GTP Picks, 25% off my knee replacement. All right, Doug, we've got 2 games this weekend. First one, 12:05 Pacific time, Sunday. Titans at Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 7 points. What are your thoughts on the AFC Championship game? Tennessee Titans at Kansas City.
Excited about this game. Team that we both thought would be there from the beginning versus a team that sort of had a second half turnaround.
Twerks with Wolves. Look at him over there, smiling.
You were. We talked about this. Very impressive.
He called them the best team in football.
He sure did. I remember this. And the Raiders had a chance to beat them. We're 2-4 at one point, I believe. And now there's a big stat out there by the analytics nerds called the DVOA, which basically says, the team that, how good you really are. The Texans were 23rd in the league. Not very good.
Yeah.
Chiefs are 3rd. The Titans are 4th. So, to me, I feel like you have to take the points in this game. I'm probably going to take points from both games just because I feel like I'll explain why in the next game. But I'm a Mahomes truther. Love Mahomes. I want to be a Chiefs fan for a long time. I like the way obviously like everything he does. I like the way the defense is starting to play. You do have the Andy Reid factor, which is always concerned in big games.
Yep.
You also have Derrick Henry going for the other side. Game might be slowed down a lot by the Titans.
The Titans certainly have the blueprint to beat this Chiefs team.
And have beaten them.
And they have beaten
Yep.
them. I think even more so, although they certainly handled their business impeccably against the Ravens, you would think in a way they almost have more of a blueprint to beat this Chiefs team because the idea of getting into a runoff with the Ravens led the record-breaking rushing team this year. You would think that and sort of in a way a more of an explosive running game with Lamar Jackson. They were never that was never really a game. The Titans controlled that game out front. But the Chiefs struggle defensively for sure. They've been better late in the year. But in terms of a strategy, taking the ball out of Mahomes' hands by running the shit out, like only giving him so much time to score a bunch of points is going to be the blueprint to beat a team that is this high-powered offensively. And I still think the Chiefs win this game. I agree with you. Like, 7 is really a tough number because it almost feels like with the Chiefs, a 7-point line is a 3-point line.
Real quick, can you guys look up the line of the game that was played in Tennessee, Tennessee versus Kansas City, in the regular season? Because it intrigues me.
Tough find.
I don't know if it'll be that tough. It might have it on a previous, but anyway, the playoffs started with the Titans being 5.5 point underdogs to the Patriots.
Yep.
10.5 for the Ravens. They're underdogs, and now they're in the middle, somewhere in the middle, 7.5.
Yeah.
Are we also saying that the Chiefs are a field goal worse than the Ravens coming into this game? I mean, you try to extract value wherever you can.
Right.
Just curious.
I
mean,
I think Vegas is saying
we were wrong on Tennessee.
Yeah, we've been wrong on Tennessee, and we know what we know about Kansas City, and now we're adjusting this line based on what we're learning about Tennessee. But to me, and that's why I'm not even sure I will bet this game with the line. It might be buying points somewhere. It might be I might have to look at the over under. I think Kansas City wins, and I think the tough thing for me about this line is it does this game come down to a field goal at the end, or is this they just can't keep up with Kansas City, and Kansas City ends up winning this game by 17 points in like a 17-point victory in what is still like a good game.
Yeah.
Where it's anybody's game down the stretch, but there's only so much Derrick Henry can do. It would be great. I'm excited for it. I want a good football game. Like you said, we've both been on Kansas City from day one in this season. Andy Reid, certainly a factor. Every year when I go to pick my Super Bowl, and even when I picked my bracket this year, the playoff bracket that I did, I was like, I like Kansas City, but I picked Niners over Kansas City because I was just like, I just don't believe Andy Reid can go 4 weeks without fucking something up.
Maybe Mahomes is so good because you feel like there might be some. They got here 2 years in a row. You feel like there might be a little bit of pressure to sort of get over the hump. Andy Reid to get back to a second Super Bowl. Is there some But is Mahomes so good that he might overcome the sort of what might be conservative play calling or some signs of stress
to
get over the hump?
When you look at this game, Vrabel being the coach, I think the closest game that this reminds me to is sort of the early Patriots Super Bowl versus the Rams. Like the Chiefs definitely have a greatest show on turf feel to their offense, and the only way that Tennessee, I certainly don't see Tennessee winning this game by 10 points or 14 points. I think this is a field goal win for Tennessee, or they just can't keep up with Kansas City.
Patriots were 2 touchdown dogs in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Crazy number. What you guys got over there?
I got the line from that regular season game.
Yeah, what is it?
It was -5.5 for the
You have the same thing?
week 10.
Aaron had it as well. So
Wow.
-5.5.
Yeah.
So that was in Tennessee. Am I correct?
In Tennessee, Titans
So that-
won by 3.
Titans won by 3. So -5.5. So they're saying if that game that week were to be played in Kansas City, they'd be an 11.5 point favorite. It's just something to think about. Is when they were trying to figure out what the scenario is, they're saying they're 4 points better. Vegas was off by 4 points when they were evaluating Tennessee. I don't know.
From a rooting sense, it's tough for me too because I have Kansas City. I don't think I would win my bracket either way. I mean, I went Niners, Chiefs. I fucked up some early games. And
is it weighted for like Super Bowl winners?
It is. But a lot of people have Niners. A lot of people have Niners, Chiefs. I think not having the Vikings. I think it's gonna come down to those early games because I don't think anybody had Tennessee going this far, so that's kind of a non-factor. But I didn't have.
Aaron would have had it.
Yeah.
Could have won the.
I had the Bills over the Texans. I had I didn't have the Vikings winning a game. So I think those early games are what's going to keep me out of it. But from a rooting standpoint, also I have Chiefs as my call early in the year. I don't think anybody that doesn't live in Tennessee or Alex from Kentucky had Titans winning the Super Bowl this year. So it's not like I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm rooting for it to prove myself right here. But in a way, it's like, it's nice to have picked the Super Bowl. But at the same time, kind of rooting for Tennessee. I mean, I'm rooting for a good game, but how much of this, let me ask you this. Quarterback advantage, I think we're giving him Mahomes.
Correct.
Running game, these are the important things in this. I think running game, we're giving an advantage to Tennessee.
Correct.
Defense, we're giving an advantage to Tennessee.
Yes.
Who are you giving a head coaching advantage in this game? Those are the 4 things I look at in these football games.
It's tough. I would say probably game planning. You still got to go with Andy Reid. But in-game situations, I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched Tennessee closely enough to say definitely Vrabel, but I know not to give it to Andy Reid.
Yeah.
It's just, no, in all due respect to Andy Reid, who is a great offensive mind, we just have not seen it yet. So I'm probably going to say advantage Tennessee until he show me otherwise.
Lines up for potentially Tennessee doing it again. I'm really – my rooting interest here is I would love to see a great football game, and I kind of think we will.
Do either of you guys over there think that we're going to see anyone besides Kansas? Do you think Tennessee wins? Aaron, you going to ride them?
Okay, well, my preseason Super Bowl pick was Chiefs-Saints. So I've been high on the Chiefs all year as well.
I think you had Raiders 18-0.
Yeah, as a side bet, But no, I've been high on the Chiefs, but I'm sticking with my guns here. Yeah, I'm sticking with the Titans. I think, since I first said it, I think they're great. So while the Chiefs have the firepower, I think the Titans have that blueprint to actually beat them. But it won't be easy.
Tennessee, actually, the game was interesting in Tennessee because Kansas City was winning that game. And then there was a botched field goal and then allowed Tennessee to come back and score and take the lead. And then they had a chance to tie it and send it to overtime, and the field goal was blocked. So it wasn't like – it was pretty – I mean, I think –
And also Kansas City really – I mean, everybody has been high on Kansas City the whole year. A lot of people – there was some early – the first two-thirds of the season, a lot of question marks. Mahomes is injured. He's not playing. He's hobbled when he is back. But Kansas City has certainly been a completely different team. You want to say the last quarter of the regular season and going into the playoffs. And I feel like I'd be way more confident in Tennessee's chances if Kansas City had managed to come back and win that Texans game, 31-24. Right? They go, "Oh, we got down early. We found our offense. We came." But I mean, they put up 51 fucking points.
Yeah.
They scored more points in the, probably the second and the third quarters combined than Tennessee has scored in the playoffs.
To me, the two biggest things to watch out for are I think Tennessee is better than most people think. I think people think Kansas City will do what they did last week.
Yeah.
And I think Tennessee is better than that. And I just get worried about the moment. I get worried about the fact that, you know what? We should probably win the Super Bowl. Like we might be the favorite to win the Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
And does the pressure get to them? That's my concern.
I think my concern is, and look, I know they have used him. He has done all that he has needed to do. But as the stakes go up and the games, you get deeper and deeper into the playoffs, you need your best players to make big plays. And I think, unfortunately for the Tennessee Titans, sometimes you have a guy who's not one of your best players being in a position where he has to be one of your best. I just don't know if I trust Ryan Tannehill to make a big throw down the stretch. Should they have to run a 2-minute drill to win the game? Like, there's only so much you can ride Derrick Henry. If they get the ball back with 1 minute and 13 seconds on a touchback and they've got one timeout, is Ryan Tannehill leading you down and getting you a field goal or getting you a touchdown to win the game when he has to? We're in back-to-back games where he hasn't thrown for 100 yards.
Yeah. I mean, he did do that in the game against Kansas City. He did give him a scoring chance. Derrick Henry also did break a big run against Kansas City and score too. So how much is Kansas City going to be looking for ways to like stop them? I'm excited about the game. I didn't know if I'd be that excited about this game, but I think the more as Tennessee has continued to improve, I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah,
about this one.
I honestly, I think both of these games have classic championship Sunday potential. But you're taking the points.
I'm gonna take the points. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tug Coker. Joe and I were perfect last week on our picks. I'll probably give out a pick. I may change it after doing some more research, so follow along. I know you had a great parlay. I threw out a couple fun winners. I do say Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are undefeated in Arrowhead, with the total going over. Maybe that'll happen again at 2-0. It's a ridiculous stat.
Game 2, 3:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have the Green Bay Packers at San Francisco Santa Clara 49ers. Spread in this game 7.5.
But I love when these and they'll show it on Sunday. They're in Santa Clara, but they always show like Golden Gate Bridge,
Yeah.
Fisherman's Wharf, which is an hour away.
What
I mean, what are we talking
even
about?
when
Guys?
you're in a Candlestick,
Yeah.
Golden Gate Bridge ain't that fucking close.
Yeah. I remember them showing it last week. I was like, guys, don't do this.
Yeah.
It's a different state, basically. Anyway.
To me, kind of crazy that this spread is bigger than the Tennessee Kansas City spread. Now I know Vegas is considering the fact that potentially there's going to be a lot more throwing the ball in this game than there is in the Kansas City Tennessee game, just with Tennessee's appearance in that game alone. But 7.5 to me, not that I don't think that the Niners have a chance to cover it, is I think it's a bit disrespectful to the Green Bay Packers.
Can I ask again for you guys to look up the line from the game, if you don't have it, the Niners Sunday Night Football game with the Packers?
Now, obviously, the Niners destroyed the Packers in that game.
Got out of hand really fast.
Yeah.
Like, a rare fumble from Aaron Rodgers, just some, not well played game.
The story that I'm sure we're going to hear a million times between now and the end of the game on Sunday, Aaron Rodgers played a Cal from the area, passed on by the Niners. They took Alex Smith 1 overall. I forget Alex Smith opened a door for somebody or held a door open or something. So there was some weird thing that Alex Smith did that was
the deal sealer?
Yeah, that made the Niners fall in love with him. They were sure that he was their guy after he, I don't know, tipped a waitress extra or some nonsensical, politeness thing. I think that is a storyline that we always hear about Aaron Rodgers whenever the Niners are involved. Let me ask you this: 7.5. Do you give the Green Bay Packers a solid chance to win this game?
Yeah, for sure. And what was the line in the previous game?
So the line was San Francisco at -3.
So, a game that really, it was over pretty early. That game, it was just an anomaly game for the Packers. Game was basically a pick'em at -3. Saying they're even on a neutral field, and now they're saying 7.5. You almost always have to take. For me, as a person who likes value, it's you almost have to take with 7.5.
Yeah,
you gotta take 7.5.
Yeah, I think in this game I am taking the 7.5. I think we talked about it last week. I said this in our preview of last week's game. I said last week's game. For all the talk, everybody wants to tell me how Russell Wilson's the greatest we've ever seen, and look at what he's doing through his X amount of years, and he's already got a Super Bowl, and he should have won an MVP. He's got robbed multiple times. I said, okay, win in Lambeau. You win in Lambeau when you don't have the best fucking defense in football. Show me something. He didn't get it done. I will say, and I am an Aaron Rodgers stan. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play until Patrick Mahomes arrived. Just all the things he could do, his ability to throw on the run, his ability, really until Mahomes, we'd never seen somebody that had used the arm angles like Aaron Rodgers using arm angles. He had thrown dimes that we'd literally never seen before. I know he's had some injuries. But Aaron Rodgers, still, he has a great Super Bowl run, no doubt about it. He has MVP. But there are a lot of people, myself included, that think he should be considered in one of the all-time great quarterbacks. You need a signature win. And I think that this, if for guys like myself to be right, for Aaron Rodgers slurpers to be, feel like they've been proven right, I think he needs to win this game. Just so the same way I said it about Russell last week. If there are games in a player's career where, we always talk about Jordan 6-0. Jordan, he had the one finals that they weren't favored in. That was against the Lakers, his first one, when, there's a lot of factors in why they, weren't favored and why maybe they should have been, et cetera, et cetera. But you have to beat teams that you're not supposed to beat. I know everybody wants to fucking kick me up and down the street for my Eli Manning love, but the reason the guy will be in the Hall of Fame is for beating teams he shouldn't have beaten. This, to me, is Aaron Rodgers' moment. I know he's got a Super Bowl. Good for him. But he needs this one to prove the people who say he's already a top 5 all-time quarterback. I think this is the game. And does he do it? I don't know, but I think he needs to.
I mean, getting to 2 Super Bowl
getting
wins
to 2
brings you to the next level of quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really – it was huge for Peyton. You can say whatever you want about his final years. He still got to 2. Elway got to 2. I think it just elevates you above.
Well, that's the thing. When you talk about the all-time quarterbacks, I always say the thing about Elway is Elway got his 2 late back-to-back, but he played in 5.
Yeah.
Like, there was a time where he was taking teams there, and he was losing to, at the time, the GOAT in Joe Montana. I think he lost to them twice, and the Giants once.
Redskins, Giants.
Did they lose to the Redskins once?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
The 42-point quarter with Doug Williams. I remember it well. Yeah. But it always Bill Barnwell wrote a great article years ago before Tom Brady won some late career Super Bowls, talking about like if you were to flip people's careers and like Tom Brady were winning those Super Bowls early, how you would think about them differently.
Yeah.
I just always think that's a very interesting way to think about people's careers, like the timeline on which you win.
Like if Elway gets 2 out of the gate
early
and
then loses
loses 3.
Yeah. How do we perceive him for that? Instead, he ends his career as 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Right.
I think Aaron Rodgers needs this win. I think, like we talked about in the last podcast, like if you need one win, are you going to put your money on Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers? I feel like Aaron Rodgers is the guy to do it. Now, I do have some concerns because the Niners have a better pass rush than the Seahawks do. You're able to get Aaron Rodgers kind of uncomfortable, which I think is so important. I think they've got to have a better game plan than the Seahawks do for Devontae Adams.
Yep.
You got to bracket him or like whatever. If he goes on the left, Sherman's got to do his job.
And that is why I say about Aaron Rodgers, this is the game he needs because specifically their pass rush. Okay, I know that the Packers have a decent pass rush, and the Packers got to Russell Wilson last week, and the Packers sacked Russell Wilson a bunch of times, including in key moments, and it really seemed to me that was the difference in the game. Aaron Rodgers made just a couple of throws that he needed to win. And Russell Wilson handled the pass rush okay, but certainly I would say in a game between the Packers pass rush and Russell Wilson, Packers pass rush came out on top. The Niners pass rush better. The Niners pass rush going to be there. There are those games where it's coming, but I need Aaron Rodgers, whether he gets sacked 6 times or he doesn't, you need to deliver. You need to put up points, and you need to move the ball, regardless of whether or not they're getting to you. You need to overcome it. If you get sacked on first or second down, I need a 3rd and 18 conversion. I need a couple of them. Yeah. That's what I need to see from Aaron Rodgers in this game, because when you go through it, especially in the playoffs, like we did before, running the ball, defense, coaching, quarterback in some order, right? I think those are the big 4. You got the Packers have a quarterback advantage. The Niners have a defense advantage. The Niners have a running game advantage, and I think the Niners have a coaching advantage. LaFleur obviously getting the 2 seed in year one. Hard to judge exactly what he is or isn't as a coach, but right now, if I had to give the edge, I'd certainly give it to the Niners. I just think they have a more advanced game plan, that they're doing more interesting things, that he turned a team around that was worse, faster. So, if you look at that in the Big Four, the only advantage the Packers have a clear advantage in is the quarterback. This is a legacy game, in my opinion. Aaron Rodgers needs to go, yeah, we're outgunning all these things. It's kind of on me. I don't think Aaron Rodgers losing this game hurts his legacy. And I've always said that. I don't think I think legacy is something that only kind of builds up. But I think that there are a lot of people who hold him at a very high regard, and this is the one that could say, you people were right. I think 7.5 is too big. I think the Niners win the game, but I think Aaron Rodgers needs to.
There's like a stat out there that in the wild card, there's a betting adage out there for certain games that, like, when you bet an NFL game, the betting the spread is like irrelevant 75% of the time.
Yeah.
If you bet on that team to win, they usually win the game.
Yeah.
This is apparently even bigger in the conference finals. That like an 80-some% clip. If you pick a team to win with the points, they usually win outright.
Right.
So, I mean, look, I would like to see, my personal preference, I'd like to see the Niners play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because I think it makes for the best game. I don't still believe in the complete package of the Packers, but I am scared of Aaron Rodgers. One stat I have, one tug I have comes from Chris Wessling in NFL Research that says teams losing by 20-plus points in the regular season and meeting again in the postseason have lost 13 straight. Who knows? Maybe this is the time to break the streak, but the trend doesn't look good for the Packers. Again, look for Joe and I on social media as we give out our picks officially on Sunday. But
what is like? I guess maybe it would be the same question. Most interesting / Tug's preference. Rank them in order of the 4 possible matchups here. What Super Bowl would you most like to see 1 through 4?
Well, I think I said it first and foremost is Niners Chiefs, because I think those are the 2 best teams. The most interesting offenses, with Shanahan's sort of amazing run system, Kittle, things like that. I think the NFL probably wants Chiefs Packers because I think they want the 2 Mahomes Rodgers sort of like, the gunslinger passing the torch
kind of crazier fan bases.
Crazier fan bases. I think they want to have the Packers involved. That's probably be my number 2. And then it would be like some version of the Packers versus Titans. Probably last either way.
Yeah,
in my personal opinion.
I think all 4 potential matchups pretty fucking awesome though.
It'd be fun.
I think we've got 3 weeks of football here that are going to be fun from every standpoint. The games on Sunday, the media with any version of these 4 combinations, and a Super Bowl. This is another one. It's like I think I'm rooting for the Packers. I don't know why, but I think I am. I've got friends who are Niners fans. I was low key a Niners fan like growing up. Like it was Giants first, and then they had a couple of NFC championship games.
Yeah, they clashed a lot. How could you? That's an interesting choice.
But I just also was a Notre Dame fan. Loved Montana.
Yep.
Rice, my goat maybe ever. Like I just loved Jerry Rice as a kid. I just thought Montana to Rice was just that was the NFL for me growing up. It was just so awesome. And
we weren't even young enough to realize how great Jerry Rice. I mean, we all realized that Jerry Rice was great, but like even as years go on, and like how much more dominant he is numbers wise than everyone else.
Yeah,
I don't think people are appreciating that in the moment.
It was in high school when Jerry Rice started to take down major records, and you started going like, oh yeah, like I remember being a kid and being like Largent holding like was like the receptions record, or was it the
Yeah.
yards
Yeah.
receiving record, whatever it was. And he takes that down pretty early. Then he's taking down, he's got catches, he's got yards. Then he starts taking down all-time touchdowns. Then he starts taking down.
I mean, you imagine him in the fantasy football era?
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Rice is the #1 pick every year for his entire career.
Yeah.
I mean, he's that much better numbers-wise than everyone else. So I understand that love.
I wore 80 in high school. It was like it's got to be fucking 80 if you're a receiver. So I've always had a love of the Niners, a low-key love of the Niners. But in the end, I think I'm rooting for the Packers in this game. I feel like I want Aaron Rodgers to prove that he is what everybody kind of – I feel like everybody was clearly on the Aaron Rodgers train a couple years ago, and with, injuries and sort of missed playoffs, everybody's jumped off. And I think, the marquee, the Rodgers-Mahomes Super Bowl – that sounds real fun to me. And also, I think that would be, a Super Bowl III rematch?
Yeah.
So.
We all remember that.
Yeah. We all remember that. Tug, I think that's our episode.
Are we going to open up a few questions?
Oh, yeah.
From the
Do we have any fun stuff? We go to the phones?
All right, so I copied down a few comments, or questions, I should say, from the comments that I could. First one up, you guys might have already touched on it, is from Cody Spell. What are the chances they vacate the Astros title?
I mean, right now I'm hearing not great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not hearing that's going to happen. It doesn't mean that we're all crying. We think it should happen, but I think if you're asking in baseball whether or not it's going to happen, I don't see that right now. But the buzzer thing, maybe the buzzer thing changes.
I think everything I know about Major League Baseball, the fact that they handed down penalties. Like, they're not going to be like, well, now we know more, let's hand out more penalties. They just seem that'd be a very un-MLB thing to do, to be like, we've got more information, we should change our decision. So I would put the chances at very low, although I think everybody who's not an Astros fan agrees that it should be.
Aaron, is that called double jeopardy? When you like
Great Ashley Judd film.
Yeah, when you weigh in, you make a decision on something, you can't retry them.
You
Yeah,
can't be tried twice for the same.
Yeah, you can't be tried for the same crime twice. It doesn't necessarily apply to this situation.
But I'm saying
But
this is baseball double jeopardy.
Conceptually, though, yeah, it would.
That's the way baseball is going to view it. I think we've already addressed this. We're moving on. Is sort of my feeling.
That makes sense.
As a nod to Double Jeopardy, we'll get Ashley Judd cast as Hinch's wife.
She could be Mendoza.
Yeah. I like her as Hinch's wet blanket wife. Yeah, y'all sure you should be doing this? The buzzers and stuff. I don't know.
We could flip it, and she sort of she makes the idea.
Oh, yeah.
She has the idea. We empower her, and she becomes the strong wife that says, "Honey, you're not hitting so well.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about something."
How come you can't just know what they're gonna throw? If y'all they put the signs down.
I make some food and I go watch TV.
I was watching on TV and I was like, oh my God, Altuve's pretty good at the curveball. They're gonna throw him a curveball here. I was like, what if there was a way that Altuve could know that they were gonna throw him a curveball?
When I'm finished making dinner, I hear the buzzer ring.
Yeah.
I go and get it.
And Hinch's was like, just make dinner, and then he's like,
yeah, exactly. It's the Usual Suspects ending. He starts to see the chicken. The buzzer goes off the wire. Oh man, this movie is gonna be incredible.
It's gonna be great. What else you got, Aaron?
Next question is from Logan Stannis. What are your guys' thoughts on the Aaron Hernandez documentary?
Touched on it briefly.
Yeah, it came on I watched Unbelievable on Netflix. Have you seen that?
Yeah, no, I've not, but I heard it's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. It's another sort of based on true events rape documentary, or not documentary show, and immediately on an ending, it rolled into Netflix likes to go next episode. It went watch the trailer for Aaron Hernandez, and I was like, they're pushing this on. I saw it's 3 hour-long parts. And I haven't watched any of it yet. I did watch the preview. It's definitely, there's a lot there, which I think anybody that was following the story all along, I mean, there's a gay storyline. Was he gay? Abusive father. There's some clips of him, maybe on a phone from jail yelling at his mom about how she raised him. There's Urban Meyer making an appearance. I'm not sure if
he's blaming his actions on his mom's upbringing.
There's one quote in the trailer where he's like, "What did you think I was going to turn out to be, an altar boy?" Or something along those lines, where he was like, "You weren't around," or some shit like that.
Remember that great "Just Say No to Drugs" from like the 80s, early 90s?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? You all right?
Yeah.
I watched it from watching.
I learned it from
watching you.
Yeah.
That's this.
Yeah.
Aaron Hernandez.
So I'm very intrigued. It might be. I might watch the 3 parts today.
I'm demanding that when Andy comes back, you
Live
two get
tweets,
together and do some sort of live tweeting, some sort of after Thrones, version of this documentary.
Yeah,
the Dirtballs need it.
It's pretty much it's a
Know,
documentary.
Savage of the Year award named after this person.
Until they do a 3-part Netflix documentary on Jameis Winston, I think this is as close to up our alley as we can get. Twerks, you got anything else?
Yeah. So from Ryan Klatt, who is more overrated for their respective sport, Jeter or Kobe?
I'll let you handle this.
This is tough. So here's my opinion. I think Kobe, first of all, and this is important, both these guys, sure thing Hall of Famers. Both these guys, in some regard, greatest, could be considered in some sort of greatest players list. Kobe Bryant, in my opinion, is a top 25 all-time NBA player. I think the people who need to really fix their lives is anybody that considers Kobe, a top 5 NBA player. Anybody that considers Kobe better than LeBron James. Anybody that thinks Kobe was more valuable to those teams than Shaquille O'Neal. I think there are a lot of guys in the league who, because of their lack of points scored in their career, championships, all that. I think there's a lot of players, and I've said this before. How many rings do those Lakers win if you just switch out Tracy McGrady with Kobe straight up? And I don't believe Tracy McGrady is a top 25 player of all time. I believe Kobe Bryant had a better NBA career. But at the same time, you're judged a lot on team success, and you're judged a lot by, Kobe was able to score a shit ton of points because the whole team was focused on Shaquille O'Neal. That being said, Kobe Bryant is a top 25 player of all time. Derek Jeter is nowhere near a top 25 player in the history of baseball. It's ludicrous. The idea that Derek Jeter is going to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. Again, Derek Jeter is a Hall of Famer. Kobe Bryant won an MVP. Maybe didn't deserve it. Derek Jeter never won an MVP. Derek Jeter never won a batting title. I'm sure Kobe Bryant has a scoring title in there at some point. Kobe Bryant, I think a bit of an overrated defender, but a good defender, if not a great defender. I don't think he was ever an all-NBA defender, despite what accolades he may have gotten. Derek Jeter, horrific defender. There was one point where I think it was the Bill James deep dive defensive stats where Derek Jeter had 5 of the 6 worst defensive seasons at shortstop in the history of baseball. So Derek Jeter is far more overrated than Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, an excellent NBA player. Derek Jeter, an excellent baseball player. One of them is an all-timer and grossly overrated still. One of them is not. I'm not sure Derek Jeter is a top 6 shortstop.
That was a really good question. I think I would have to agree with you. I mean, Derek Jeter lives his career off of just like good moments. I mean, and good teams. Like he was a part of great teams, good cook, good captain, and he's just like you're able to distill his career into these like incredible moments, which is
Mr. November,
the ball flip,
the
going into the stands, the 3,000 hit homer.
And it's funny because the ball flip, he was fucking safe. Going to the stands, he had 40 yards to stop running.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way. It was just the way he. I mean, it was just and being in New York, it was just a perfect storm of things. For him.
You know, look, as a Mets fan, it's like, of course, you know, I look at all the shortstops who played while Derek Jeter was playing shortstop for the Yankees. Like, I would love to have Derek Jeter have been the shortstop of the New York Mets. But had Derek Jeter been the shortstop of the New York Mets, no one's talking about him right now because he doesn't have rings. He doesn't have the potential to come up in the clutch. He's just a beyond bad defensive shortstop and a guy who fucking, you know, stockpiles a ton of singles in his career. And honestly, when you look at if Derek Jeter was the Mets shortstop, I'm not sure Derek Jeter gets to 3,000 hits because I'm not sure he's protected in the lineup the way he was protected in the Yankees lineup. Baseball is so much more of a long-term chemistry game where, like, pencil a guy in who's going to be in there every day. Everybody likes him. He's the captain. You can't really put a value on that, but then at the same time, there's war. You can put a value on it. Like,
That's true.
And one basketball player in a starting lineup is so much more important than any one player in a baseball lineup. So, yeah, I think it's hands down Derek Jeter's more overrated.
If Kobe comes back for one game, do we do the Kobe hydrocodone shot challenge?
I couldn't be more into a plan.
All right, I also got two last ones. One of them's pretty quick, just for Tug, and it's from Mitch. Tug, did you know that Rod Laver Arena?
Laver?
Yeah. Rod Laver Arena is located just off of Batman Avenue.
No, I had no clue.
I don't know what either of those things mean, but I figured I'd ask.
Well, Rod Laver is one of the great tennis players of all time. I think he won the all four majors twice in a row. You know, like guys like McEnroe and Borg,
second on the GOAT Adidas shoe list to Stan Smith.
Yeah. He loves Federer, so I love Rod Laver for that. Every time Federer's in a big match, Laver's probably there. But no, I didn't know that.
And is Batman out? Is that like Batman the superhero?
I have to assume.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
I didn't know if Batman was a tennis.
I don't know why Melbourne has adopted Batman, but that's a did you know? That deserves a wow. I can't remember who used to say that, but I'm borrowing that catchphrase.
Wow.
Owen Wilson?
Oh, yeah.
That deserves a wow.
Wilson. Wow.
All right, and our last one is from Stanga. And
I will announce this right now. These questions come back to back from first, the next Hall of Famer in Dirtball Hall of Fame, Maniacal Mitch. I'm making it official.
Wow.
We will have an announcement.
Here.
We will have an announcement. We have an official announcement soon. We will raise his I don't know.
What color jackets do these guys get?
We'll raise his lower lip ring to the rafters. We will tattoo the studio with Maniacal. The next Dirtball Hall of Famer and the lone Dirtball Hall of Famer, Jesse Stango, with the follow-up question.
All right, Stanga's question is, I guess, a little more philosophical. It's what is it okay to cheat at in life? You know, cheat at sports.
Your girlfriend. What?
Cheat at schoolwork. Cheat on spouse. Cheat on
Just
taxes. Morally speaking, are these really any different? It seems like cheating is in our nature, and this is, of course, relating back to the Astros cheating.
Yeah.
So what is it okay to cheat at in life?
I mean, it's okay to speed, right? Like I feel like there's loose rules that are meant to be broken. I feel like you can speed and you can jaywalk. I think cheating on your taxes is completely normal. And you know, if you look at like the billionaires out there, billionaires don't pay taxes. They should be paying the most. So I think cheating on your taxes is as American as anything. I mean, we're a country because we didn't want to pay fucking taxes. You know, I think cheating on your significant other is not correct. I don't think, especially if you have a wife, children. Yeah, I mean, I think if you love somebody, cheating on them is pretty reckless thing to do. Cheating in school, I think, you know, cheating in school is sort of like cheating in baseball. Like, you know, you share notes with somebody. You know, you get a paper in college that somebody wrote for the same class and you change it up a little. Bringing a buzzer that you can tap your answers to somebody else in the exam, that's punishable cheating, right? Like, I think, yeah, that's where I'm going. How about you, Tug? What are
that's a tough question for the last question of the day. I mean, I feel like there's when everyone sort of understands there's like a rule bending, which like I'll use the driving example. Like it's kind of understood like we're all just trying to move along, and there's no harm's way. The baseball thing to me, it just feels so egregious. It just feels like everyone's trying to get an edge, but there's a line that's crossed when you're trying to get an edge, and the idea of everyone, the buzzer thing just seems ridiculous. It just seems like we're playing a different sport now, where it's like we should start announcing let's announce what the pitch is, and if you can hit it, great.
Yeah.
So I can't really say. I'm all for game theory. As I said before, game theory. I like when you can find edges. I don't know people's relationships. I will never speak on someone if relationships like Antonio Brown apparently not in a very healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Don't know. That woman wants to be with someone else, probably justified. I don't know. But I just know it's like what's the famous you know this, you're in law school. There's a famous, I want to say Potter Stewart, Supreme Court Justice. I don't know if that's the exact one, but he says, I don't know what porn is.
Stewart.
I don't know what porn is, but I know it when I see it. And that's what it feels like. That's cheating.
You don't know what cheating is, but you know it when you see it.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the school thing. I feel like cheating in school is something that every school has. Certainly when you're in university, there's a code of conduct, things you shouldn't do, But like, you live in a frat house. Some kid took this class last year. He knows, whatever. You get a little heads up. Oh yeah. Every year for the last 4 years, everybody in this house knows the final exam, the final essays about the War of 1812. Good heads up. I think is that cheating? That's like is cracking what the third base coach is. There's a reason that you give hand signals and you just say, everybody close your ears. I'm going to yell bunt or not bunt. We're not going on the honor system here. There is a code that you're using to convey signs. The other thing is, breaking into your teacher's office the day before the test, like Watergate, stealing it, writing all down your answers and swapping out. I think there's a clear difference there in going, I have made active attempts to cheat this test. I think that's where the Astros have done. The Astros have basically, they've cheated as much as you can cheat at this. If you were a baseball team and you wanted to cheat more, what else could you do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Injure other players? Like,
you pay off the pitcher, so they tell you to
Yeah.
exactly what's going to happen. That you collude with another team. It's probably the final thing. I'll say this, and this is not a proud moment for me, but I remember cheating on a test in 4th grade, and I got caught. And
evil Tug.
it was very
young evil Tug.
Very evil Tug.
Evil Tuggy.
But I felt so much pressure to like have to do well for grades, and that's like the one thing I wanted to try to instill in my kids is like to not look at tests as a way to like get into school or whatever. It's sort of like this. It's just like a referendum on what you know right now. Like same with sports. Like this. It's everyone. Why are they cheating? Right? Because they either want to be great, immortalized, or they just want to get paid. Right? Somehow we've gone too far. Like we need to play my kids to know like take the test and that's what you know. That's what you know on that day. Like don't be like your dad.
Yeah.
And do whatever it was. It was probably a spelling test. I don't know what it was. Like 4th grade. But there's so much pressure. These guys feel so much pressure. They feel like they have to cheat the system. And I don't know what is next. It probably is some sort of collusion with another team. We'll probably revert back to what it was with the White Sox 100 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
I can't even begin to imagine what we're talking about on Monday or Tuesday's episode of next week on the show with what comes out about this Astros and will it start coming out about other teams? That's going to be the real thing is now that the cat's out of the bag, are they gonna be like, well, also this team is doing this, like a lot of the thing about the Astros is they've been a pretty solid. They're very much built through their farm system, so a lot of guys have been there and only there, certainly of their core. But like this happened because a guy left and became a whistleblower. It'd be interesting to see if any, just like steroids, if just the wheels come off and people start going, well, if we're punishing them, these guys were doing this and these guys were doing this. So
I really looked at the Lance Armstrong stuff where he tries to bring people in, and once you bring people in, you can't. It's going to come out.
Yeah.
Like unless you can do it by yourself, you start seeing someone else cheat the same way, inject a needle, blah blah blah, try to do the blood doping. It's just there's too many people involved, and all these players are going to go off to a different team. Word's going to spread. It just feels like an impossible lie.
And the thing that this Astros situation reminds me about the Lance Armstrong thing is Lance Armstrong was suing people who accused him of cheating.
Yeah.
And that was really, I think, if you look back on it, like the worst part of it is he sort of actively ruined some people's lives because they were calling him out.
Destroyed them.
Yeah. And AJ Hinch, the way he handled people accusing them of cheating when they were, it's like, dude, you could have just been like, we're not talking about this. We're just not, like, I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. Instead of being like, this is a joke and what about that? Like, that's where this really turns into a fucking gross situation.
But by all accounts, they say he's well liked within baseball.
Yeah.
He's going to serve a suspension and then be on a new team.
Yeah.
In the next year. So I just want to take this opportunity. I feel a lot better. I've been holding that 4th grade, I think, spelling test thing in my chest for 30 years. It's good to be out. I'm sorry, I had a moment.
And now you can
I can be free.
There's pre this.
I had a weak moment, and now I use his Astros, scandal as an opportunity to come clean.
And how are you at spelling these days, Tug?
I'm still terrible.
Tug, where can everybody find you, and what should they be looking for?
Yeah, Tug Coker on Instagram and Twitter. I got this show worked on for ABC coming out next month, so check me out on Instagram for some pictures of some ridiculous outfits I put on.
We still can't know what it is though yet.
No, I feel like I shouldn't be saying that. It's not my. I don't want to.
It's gonna be on proper ABC.
Proper ABC. Nick's in town. We've been shooting some videos, having some fun with that.
Yeah, you guys have been, collecting some content for you.
Some content.
Will this all be on tugcoker.com?
It'll be on Tug. Well, it should be on the Instagram and Twitter. But I'm excited to get some stuff involved with Dirty Sports now with you, Andy, and Aaron, and everybody else. So anyway, check me out on social media.
Aaron.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at DSInterns and Instagram at Aaron Maharis. Also, Joe, some breaking news. There was an avalanche in Lake Tahoe.
Wow.
Today. Several unaccounted for. One dead, one severely injured already.
On a ski mountain.
Yeah.
Was it on Heavenly?
I'm not exactly sure. It didn't specify. It just said, oh, no, Alpine Meadows Ski Resort.
Wow. Wild. I was not on Alpine Meadows, but I hope everybody's safe. I was talking to somebody who is formerly a ski patrol at Heavenly and said that avalanches happen on mountains, on ski mountains, more often than are publicized, and that this sort of only happens in backcountry thing isn't necessarily true. So I guess it's one of those things, you get the story and then it immediately happens. Like, yeah, okay, that's crazy. I hope everybody's okay. Nick, where can everybody find you? You want to slide that window closed behind you and then give us your plugs.
Oh, jeez.
Don't lose this opportunity to plug.
Nick Dale on Twitter.
Nick
L
Dale, the
is a
L is capital
I, and then Nick Dale on Madden Mobile. Come run with me.
On Madden Mobile?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I'll dust you.
Listen, I went and had lunch with Nick, and I looked at his phone and said, "You just won your league." I'm like, "What is this world?"
Yeah.
So it's a mobile Madden league.
I'm away from home. I don't have my console right now. It's all about the mobile gaming right now. Find me on Madden Mobile. I'll take you to town.
I am at Joe Prano on Instagram. A lot of hot brace content going up on Instagram these days. At Fix Your Life on Twitter. JoePrano.com for shows. If you've been to JoePrano.com recently and some shows have disappeared, that is because some shows have been canceled. The trip to Alaska will be postponed. So to the good people of Anchorage, I will get that rescheduled post-surgery. As of right now, I will still be in Aspen at the end of February. Sadly, I will not be skiing or snowboarding in Aspen. I guess I'll be doing more. I'll focus more on the comedy and the Hunter Thompson tourism than I will on shredding this trip. But I'll be in Aspen at the end of February for Aspen Laugh Fest. And then I will be in Palm Springs. I'll be there finals weekend of Indian Wells.
We got you again.
I got
wow,
it again.
You're sucked in.
Finals weekend, I'll be there at Indian Wells, Birmingham, Alabama. For now, if it remains up on the website, it means I'm still coming. If you want to message me, you can do that at Joe Prano on Instagram or at Fix Your Life on Twitter, and just send me a message and go, hey, man, I'm thinking about coming to the show. Is it still happening? It is worth checking in the next couple weeks as surgery happens to see if I'm going to go where I am scheduled to go. Follow Andy at Andy Ruther on Twitter and Instagram and all social media. Follow at The Dirty Sports on all social media. Rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Use GTP Picks for your picks this weekend and all of our sponsors for all of your sponsorship needs. And if you do that and you send us a screenshot of you using a promo code, using any of our sponsors, or rating, reviewing, and subscribing to this podcast, Andy will send you out some koozies. So shout out to all the dirt balls who have Venmo'd me, the knee fund. It actually did feel kind of fantastic the other day to hand over my black Venmo card and pay for an MRI. And I literally said out loud, "Thanks, Dirtballs."
That's incredible.
Dirtballs direct. Like I literally use Dirtball funds to swipe for an MRI on this knee. So thank you to all donations that have come in for the knee fund. Shout out to all the Dirtballs who have supported Andy. I know a bunch of Dirtballs got together and sent some flowers, sent a sandwich tray for
awesome.
the Ruthers. So Dirtballs, we appreciate that all that you guys do to help the show move along. We got 2 Dirtballs in here. Sometimes you forget these guys are just Dirtballs who wanted to do work. So we appreciate all that you guys do for the show. Special shout out to CT, our boy up in Seattle, top ranked dirtball. He sent us some fun Major League the movie swag. He sent me a short sleeve button down with the tomahawk screaming baseball, and he sent Andy, I believe, a T-shirt. So shout out to CT and all his help with rental cars, we always get. And that's it for the show. You guys, we will be back Monday or potentially Tuesday. Andy returns on Tuesday. The man himself returns. So it'll either be me and Tug on Monday or Andy and one of us on Tuesday. But things will get back to a more normal schedule next week. Tug, thank you as always for being here.
Of course.
Twerks, Nick, thank you guys and everybody out there, including the 3 of you. Stay dirty.